Good evening, my warmest friends. It was so good of you to come all this way. You must be dying to begin. It won't be long now, so rest in peace. I'll be coming for you soon, oh, very soon. Your time has nearly come. Just a little farther now. Oh, roughly 6 feet or so. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I frighten you? Perhaps that was in bad spirit. Try to stay lively. Your wait is at an end. Make yourself comfortable and take one last look behind you. If knowing what's behind you will make you feel any better. As for me, I like to be surprised. Time to cross over now. So step inside my library and welcome to Ghost Stories for Grown-ups. Welcome to our library. Let's begin with Spiritus news from our Dead Files with Mabel.
Hi, I'm Mabel. Tonight, we're looking into the mysterious disappearance of Mr. Thomas Devlin. Spoiler alert, he was dead! Wah, 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 wah. Anywho, let's flash back to 1946 in Newark, Ohio, when 72-year-old Irish-born Thomas Devlin and his wife Laura Bell, also age 72, lived in this home on King Avenue and was described by neighbors as an eccentric couple. One day, a neighbor observed that Thomas hadn't been seen for some weeks and inquired with Laura Bell about Mr. Devlin's health. Oh dear. Mrs. Devlin had bad news. Thomas had went to visit his cousin in Philadelphia and, well, died. I've heard that Philly can scare a soul, but not to death. Laura Bell produced a letter from the cousin. It was actually signed Tom's cousin. No, really. It literally was signed Tom's cousin. That said that they were taking Mr. Devlin's body back to Ireland. The neighbor thought the letter strange and told Laura Bell she should show it to the mail carrier. The eagle-eyed mail carrier, Mr. Butcher, yes, the names are real, folks, noticed that this letter had no stamp and it looked like the postmark had been hand-drawn. The mail carrier thought something smelled rotten. Oh, how pathetic. Mr. Butcher offered to escort Mrs. Devlin to the authorities so she could show them the letter. When the police saw the letter, they became a bit suspicious and went to the Devlin home to check things out. When they got there, they unexpectedly found Mr. Devlin. A little bit of him here, a little bit of them there, a little bit in the backyard. You get the picture. Turns out that Mrs. Devlin had done a bad thing. She confessed to killing her husband weeks before after an abusive Thomas threw a plate at her and she just couldn't take it anymore. Laura Bell went after Thomas with a small knife. When that wouldn't do it, she pummeled him with her fists until she thought he was dead. Then she tried to crush his bones with a sickle. But then the sickle broke, so she found a handsaw to get Thomas down to more manageable pieces. Then, bubble, bubble, toil and trouble, his head went in the stove. Here's a photo from the Newark Advocate showing the local police inspecting said stove. Now, for a brief pause for something completely unrelated. Look at this unfortunate page layout. Blech! Laura Bell was taken to the Licking County Jail, and after a rather calm confession, the coroner ruled homicide by senile dementia. And hindsight being 20/20, Laura also expressed some regret for having not called an undertaker, and that she was ready to return home to her vintage lace collection. Unfortunately, Laura Bell never would return home. Dubbed the Handsaw Slayer, Laura Bell was charged with first-degree murder and ordered to the Lima State Hospital for the Criminally Insane for psychiatric evaluation. Mrs. Devlin was indeed ruled insane. No surprise there. On March 29th, approximately 3 months after her husband's murder, Laura Bell succumbed to pneumonia and died in Lima. Laura's final unearthly coup de grace? Her obituary that ran in the Zanesville Times Recorder actually states that Laura Bell was preceded in death by her husband. Well, no crap. Well, that's all this month from the Dead Files. See you on the flip side for another tale of truth that's stranger than fiction. Oh, now where did I put that book?
Oh, Mabel, what a dear. She'd lose her head if it wasn't attached to the string on her glasses. Now, let us put hands, claws, and hooves together and welcome our guest reader, Mr. Chris Skinner, who will be reading a special short selection from our dark shelves, written by Jeff Strand and entitled, The Bell from Hell. Shh! Quiet now.
I own a bell forged by Satan himself. With it I can summon the Prince of Darkness to our plane of existence. I often think about doing it, but I fear my own power. Some question the authenticity of the bell. No way did Satan make that, they say. If Satan made a bell, it would be like some big, scary-looking thing made out of black iron with pentagrams carved into it. And I don't know, boiling blood dripping down the side and stuff. That's just a stupid little plastic bell. It still has a price tag on it. Of them I ask, why would you assume that Lucifer is proficient in bell-making skills? William Shakespeare may have been the most brilliant writer in human history, but did he know how to successfully milk a cow? Doubtful. Everybody has their own skill set. I don't see why Satan's bell must be an unholy spectacle to convince people of its origin. It was his first attempt. It's not going to be the Liberty Bell. Now, the price tag I can't explain. Some phenomena are beyond the understanding of mortal men, and should remain that way. Sometimes my coworkers snatch the bell from my desk and ring it just to tease and infuriate me. Wretched souls. Uh-oh, they say, the devil's going to be here any second. Everybody look busy. I explain that the bell must be rung 666 times for the summoning to take place. Fortunately, my coworkers do not have the patience for that much ringing. No, I did not get the bell from Satan directly. It's ridiculous to think that I would have. I'm not so caught up in feelings of self-worth and ego to think that Satan would feel the need to personally deliver his gift to me, any more than the President of the United States has to hand-deliver a certificate of commendation for it to be a thoughtful gesture. One of his minions presented me with the bell 3 months ago. This is where my frustration with my coworkers becomes almost unbearable. Yes, Satan's minion took human form. Because of this fact, my coworkers constantly insist that it was not a demon at all, but rather a homeless man selling junk he'd stolen from the dollar store. Logic eludes them. Why do they think that Satan would be stupid enough to send a scaly, red-skinned, sulfur-scented, prehensile tail-wearing demon to wander the brightly lit streets? Of course the demon would have transformed himself into something passable as human. They simply don't understand this line of reasoning. Oh, I guess I should point out that I'm not a devil worshiper. I can see where you might get the wrong idea. I'm actually a reasonably devout Christian, which is why it surprised me more than anybody when the minions sold me the bell for such a low price. I would have expected him to choose somebody who practices the dark arts or listens to evil music or at least reads Harry Potter. But no, I was chosen. I don't want to see hell on earth or 1,000 years of darkness or anything like that. If I do end up summoning Satan, it'll be to defeat him. My coworkers have a great big laugh at that. I'm fully aware of how it sounds, but I wish they'd give me credit for not being a complete idiot. I'm not saying that I'm going to whip out my +3 Vorpal sword and lop off Beelzebub's head for 8,000 experience points. I'm just saying that if I did use the bell, I could conceivably summon him under circumstances where his evil would be vanquished once and for all. What you going to do, trap him under a net? Asks Rick from corporate accounting, playing with the bell. I really shouldn't leave it sitting out on my desk. No, I say, trying not to let my impatience show. I'm not going to trap him under a net. His skin would burn right through it. How can he be so highly paid and yet so ignorant? Going to use your martial arts skills on him? You know I don't have martial arts skills. Really? I thought you were like a ninja or something. He's making my brain hurt. I admire ninjas. I'm not one myself. Bummer. It's not a bummer. I have no interest in taking a human life. But you're trying to kill Satan. I never said I was trying to kill Satan. All I've said is that if I figure out a way to trap him, I might summon him with the bell. That's a pretty big if. I'm not trying to pass myself off as some mighty devil hunter. I'm just saying that if I figured out a workable plan, I might try to rid the world of him. Give me a frickin' break. Rick jiggles the bell. Doesn't even really ring. It just sort of clacks around. Well, gee, perhaps a fallen angel has better hearing than you do. Did you ever think of that? His stupidity is beyond belief. I gotta tell you, Hallie, I'm not quite buying the whole devil bell thing. I've never claimed to be perfect. Sometimes I suffer from the sin of pride. And on that day, I simply couldn't take the ridicule anymore. I snatched the bell out of Rick's hand and began to ring. I rang it 10 times. 20. 30. Rick stood there, a smirk on his face. Oh, how I would enjoy seeing that smirk ripped off and boiled in bile by Lucifer himself. I continued to shake the bell, counting each tinkle. 46, 47, 48. I gotta go, said Rick. You're not going anywhere, I told him. You don't believe me? I'll prove it to you once and for all. 53, 54, 55. Well, how many rings does it take? 666. Well, is it cumulative? What do you mean? Do my rings count? No. One person, one session. Well, what are you up to? 90. Sarah, who sits 3 cubicles behind me, approaches with a cup of coffee. What's going on? Howie's summoning Satan. Sarah smiles. You figured out how to vanquish him? Shake my head and keep ringing. I'm just teaching Rick a lesson. Pretty harsh lesson if Satan does show up. I'm teaching all of you a lesson, I announce. You never believed me. You all think I wasted my $1.50. Well, when I reach the 666th ring, you'll find out just who wasted what. How many rings is that now, Rick asks. 141. Can you call me when you're at 600? Oh, his condescending tone makes me want to watch his eternal torment even more. I ring harder and faster. In the back of my mind, I question the wisdom of summoning Satan without an escape plan, but I'm too far annoyed to worry about that. Whatever happens, happens. The crowd began to gather. They all look amused. I can't wait to see the amusement on their faces transform into a distinct lack of amusement. I've sort of lost count of the number of rings at this point. I think I'm around 300. But it's okay. The summoning doesn't require me to stop at exactly 666 rings. So if I go over, I won't mess things up. I just need to keep track enough that I know when to duck and cover. Shouldn't we make Satan a welcome banner or something? Asks Mike, who is also from corporate accounting. The others acknowledge that it's a good idea, though I doubt their sincerity. But nobody goes to make one. Yeah, they won't have time anyway. Patricia, who is also from corporate accounting, is right next to mine, looks at me sadly. She's always been nice to me, and I harbor a secret crush on her, despite her being 32 years my senior. Come on, Howie, knock it off. You don't have to prove anything. If I could have taken her statement to mean because I believe you, that would have been good enough, and I would have ceased ringing the bell. Unfortunately, she clearly means because nothing will happen and you'll look like an idiot. And so I must continue. My hand's starting to get tired. See, even with it being a minuscule plastic bell, the ringing process is tiring. That is why I was provided with this particular bell and not some giant black iron behemoth that would be impossible to ring a sufficient number of times without collapsing from exhaustion. Everything makes sense when you apply simple logic. Was that 666? Rick asks. No, we're just over 500, I inform him. This all seems kind of inconvenient. Oh, sure, because it makes so much sense that the process of summoning the devil should be so convenient that you can do it by just grabbing the bell from my desk and shaking it a couple of times. I say, making no effort to hide the sarcasm in my voice. Think about what you're saying, Rick. I don't have to treat him with respect any longer. You can't respect somebody who is moments away from being skewered by a flaming pitchfork. I switch the bell to my left hand and continue ringing. 600, approximately. I want to cackle with maniacal laughter about what is to occur, but I have to remember that we're still in a place of business and professional conduct is expected. I can't stop myself from grinning, though. I ring as fast as my hand tingles. Finally, I reach the ring of the beast. I ring 10 more times just in case. I give a satisfied nod to my doomed antagonist. But then my grin vanishes. What have I done? Oh God, what have I done? To prove a point to my coworkers, I have brought hell to the offices of Tyler and Benton Incorporated? How can I call myself a Christian when I would so selfishly summon Lucifer himself for no reason but to make Rick from corporate accounting look foolish? Satan may not have arrived yet, but there is still an evil presence in this room, and it's me. I'm so displeased with myself that I want to scream. Rivers of blood will flow over our keyboards and our mice. Our printers will melt and sizzle in the hellfire. My coworkers ridiculed me. But did they really deserve this eternal overtime of misery? What can I do to stop this? Though I'd said that Annette couldn't hold Satan, that had merely been an educated guess. I mean, if we had one around, it's certainly worth a shot. I want to shout for my coworkers to try to find one. But I'm so terrified and appalled by my own behavior that I can't speak. I gesticulate frantically while they stand around my desk, still looking amused. "Hello, Satan," Rick calls out, unaware that he's almost certainly making himself the first target. I have to stop this, but what can I do? What could ward off the Prince of Darkness? What does he hate most in the world? Well, then I realize the answer. Love. Love. The power of love can stop the beast from invading our plane of existence. A kiss, true and pure. Upon sensing the expression of human love, the devil will be so repulsed that he might return to his hellish plane and leave us alone. I gaze at Patricia. She turns and sadly walks away from my desk. I think I can hear a rumbling sound in the distance. It kind of reminds me of the ventilation system, but I'm in no condition to accurately judge sounds, and no, there is no time to spare. I have to express pure love now. I stand up, whisper "I love you," and pull Rick toward me and kiss him on the lips. Now, I don't really love him, but perhaps Satan will be fooled. The chaos is so great that for a moment I think Satan has arrived, but no, they're merely reacting to my act of redemption, and not in a positive way. Still, they can judge me all they want as long as I've staved off the effects of that accursed bell. Satan does not show up in the offices of Tyler and Benton that morning. The kiss worked. I destroy the bell by stomping on it with my foot. It's too much responsibility for one man. I spend some time down in Human Resources explaining my actions. I'm written up for my unprofessional conduct and told that it will negatively impact my raise, but that's okay. I had succumbed to the sin of pride. My punishment is just. And I learned an important lesson. Love conquers all, but in a pinch, you can fake it.
How delightful! Our very own library ghoul was so inspired. He wrote this original piece and will share it with you now.
Ode to Satan's Tinkle. I found a bell at an auction house. It was tarnished, worn, and red. It came in a box with authenticity card. This be the bell of the dead. Why I grabbed it, I'll never know. Call it morbid curiosity. And when I tried to ring the bell, it was silent as could be. The box was black, covered in webs, had a skull with glowing red eyes. There were words found upon it, which I read to my surprise. This red bell Satan stole from the Plain City Dollar Store. He took it from the clearance aisle as it laid upon the floor. Legend says he tried to run, but apparently missed the sign. Hooven feet and fresh mopped floors made him slip onto his red behind. Now some folks say he cursed the bell to bring about the end of days, that once it's shaken his number's time, all life will fade away. I've used it as a paperweight on my desk for the last year. Everyone that passes by shakes it hard, but silence is what they hear. So when you see it on my desk, just remember, leave it be. For if it moves but one more time, the end we all shall see. Ah, nuts!
I've so enjoyed your energy tonight. But alas, all good things must come to an end. We must say goodbye for now, but only until next time. And until then, be nice to spiders. Have tea with the ghost in your attic. And don't forget to feed the monster under your bed. Good night.